I'm the Kita of Kawasaki Environmental Research Institute. Nice to see you all. Today's forum will be broadcasted into English into Japanese simultaneously, so please note of that. Now, in the opening, we'd like to have an opening remark from Mayor of Kawasaki, Norihiko Fukuda. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Kawasaki City International Eco-Business Forum. This has been the 20th year, and this is a big milestone with the support of a UN Environment Program and stakeholders. We have support every year, and I appreciate it very much. This year, we have no non-Japanese people from overseas, but this is broadcasted through YouTube, so the people who are working together hard is somewhere in the world, and I feel encouraged very much and would like to share the information here, and I would like to expand the circle together, community. And today, Professor Fujita, he is participating from the very first forum, and based on his presentation from the institutional financial institutions and panel discussion with the major companies, we would like to have a panel discussion. So from urban industry symbiosis to sustainable future in Kawasaki City. So who have attended the opening ceremony may have heard this, but Chamber of Commercial Sakabe-san said that efforts for SME has been only increased, only 3% increase by SME. Wow, that's very little. 3 is a long period of time, I thought, but still there aren't many companies who are involved. For big players, yes, but for SMEs, very small companies have much less activities about decarbonization. So we should find a good model. Oh, this person is involved. I may be able to do it. So we'd like to have a good circulation. So from President Sanpei of Hizaki Kogyo, he level up his activities very much, and surprising activities he presents every year. So we'd like to disseminate this kind of activity to everyone, and decarbonization management started from Kawasaki, and I want to let everybody know about this. The financial institutions, City of Kawasaki would like to work together, and would like to say that we can start from Kawasaki. And now, please have the fruitful time today, and thank you very much for your cooperation in advance. Next, moving on to the lecture. We regret that the mayor has to leave now due to his next appointment. Now, we would like to welcome Professor Fujita. Please come up to the podium. Now, let me introduce him to you. The Department of Urban Engineering, Graduate School of Tokyo University Professor Fujita Tsuyoshi. He will serve both as a lecturer as well as a coordinator of panel discussion. Now, please start the presentation. Thank you very much, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. I'm Department of Urban Engineering in Tokyo University Graduate School. Fujita. For the past 30 years, I'm talking about recycling and circulation engagement studies, and for the past 10 years, de-urbanization has been my theme. Since I got into the research community, the one I started with was a Kawasaki. at the very beginning, this forum, very first time was 2003, with the introduction of many people. Dr. Tsuyoshi was one of them who introduced me to. And let's get into Kawasaki. I was a professor of Toyo University, together with students once a week. Come here and at the city office and factory at the coastal area. Actually, I have met 100 people, 100 companies. I made a questionnaire too. So based on that experience, we'd like to work as a leader of a green economy. So Kawasaki would do so many things, and by disseminating it to many parts of the world, Japan, we hope that they will create a new innovation in Japan. So by presenting talking about the green innovation, the key word for Kawasaki City is urban industrial symbiosis. So industrial symbiosis came from Europe. So industry is live as if they are living creature. So by collaborating, company and company cooperation create the metabolism and nurture and grow. That is called symbiosis or coexistence. Without symbiosis, the world cannot continue to live or survive. So that word came from that kind of background. Next page. So that argument started. Probably the people here are about the same age. You remember 1990s. From 1990s, there was a limit of the growth. The word limitation in growth has been around. We need to continuously grow, sustainable growth needs. And ozone layer problem has been commonly shared in the international world. That is in 1990s. In that framework, there are many terminologies came up. And one of them was industry symbiosis. So mass production, mass consumption, we shouldn't stay as it is, and in order to live together. You will see later, but Kawasaki, as we closely look at it, I think Kawasaki is one step ahead. Because the uniqueness of Kawasaki is that industry is concentrated as well, but at the same time there is a residence nearby. That is unlikely in U.S. and China industrial park. That we call it urban as industry co-symbiosis. Whether it is really happening or not, that is one of my themes. And in order to realize in symbiosis, there would be how we can contribute to the circulation society and decarbonization society. I'd like to talk about a part of my study on that theme. Next slide, please. In 1990s, symbiosis and circulation society, there came a trend to make a city that represented, and you may have heard it as you have seen in the exhibition, Eco Town exhibition, I think you have already seen. Japanese-style symbiosis project is to create a circulation type community, make the complex into circulation model. It has started in 1995, and since at that time, companies and administration of that Kawasaki created this picture. As you can see, there are many industrial facilities located in the coastal area, and the water needs to be circulated, on a waste need to be circulated, and heat and energy should be exchanged and circulated. And urban areas and the residential area can benefit from them. And that was the idea. And this is the Japanese symbiosis. and Kawasaki as eco-town, we decided to realize it. And this picture was drawn in 1995 to realize that dream. And Kawasaki's dream, it was 10 years before this forum started, and the discussion already started 10 years ago, 10 years earlier than the forum. And Kawasaki, as you are familiar with, and Ecotown, 200-hectare area, coastal area is called Kawasaki Ecotown. The METI and Health and Ministry industry work together. Ecotown in 26 cities are designated as Ecotown since 1997, and in 10 years we designate 10 of them. First 4 of them were Kawasaki, and Kita-Kyushu was also designated as Ecotown then. And in that, Kawasaki is unique in that their recycle facilities are located, has begun to settle. As you can see here, there are legal side of recycling has appeared, and not just collecting and separate them and use them, recycle them into production use, as is on the right top from the plastic waste from the house or industry or home appliance and pet bottles. Kawasaki has been collecting all these, and what is unique about them is city companies recycled them, meaning the closed loop recycle, and put them back into product. That happened in Kawasaki City, inside the city. That is a community circulation type eco-town was realized. That is what is unique about Kawasaki City. When I go overseas, east is represented by Kawasaki, and west is represented by Kita-Kyushu. Kita-Kyushu has a recirculating process, but at the same time, Kawasaki collect the resources for recycle and use it at the production process. That is a circulation process has been realized by Kawasaki. And as I work together with the companies, people from companies, and on the next page, this is put into flows. I was only talking about waste circle, but this time cement factory is using their waste. This is the flow, the material flow into production flow. And the upper part of the arrow shows that the natural resources like a limestone, clay, and coal is used to produce cement. But in Kawasaki City, using waste, industry waste, and the sludge or the rubbles from the construction, used as a clay, instead of clay and limestone, and use it. So upper part indicates that major part of the flow of the production, and the lower part is a circulation flow of like water. So the upper part, black, turn into water side. So in the future, we can produce it without depending on the resources. As you can closely look at it, the energy consumption will be much less. So we call it decarbonization effect. But the cement with the decarbonization will be able to happen. At the first forum we discussed on this topic. And we're in a research team, and we visualized after research. So this is on the left top is there are 4 graphs. Cement in Kawasaki, cement factory in Kawasaki, as CO2 emission was calculated, and actually people in the Kawasaki took the data and calculated. Not 4 bar chart indicates that on the left indicates that without circulation at all, without using the waste, cement was produced. But on the third from the left is actually after using the circulation resource, cement was created, and the CO2 coming out of it, about 10% reduction of CO2. And what is possible in Kawasaki is urban waste that is incinerated, but that can be used for product as a substitute. Then further 30% of the CO2 will be reduced. With the current technology, that could be double. And in that, in Kawasaki, not just within the industry, but urban industry symbiosis happening, then we'll be able to see the decarbonization effect, and we'll be able to make a demonstration business for that. And we already started that discussion then. And on the next page, actually, there are many network already. Heat and waste. Colored part is factories, steel and cement. They have already network, and this is the way to circulation network. And this is infrastructure unique to Kawasaki. Then let's make it into carbon neutral and green economy. That is one of the start line of today's discussion. 2 page ahead and one page. You can follow the animation like in SDGs. In Kawasaki, SDGs, as our shows, 12 of them is about recycling, responsibility to use, and but the 8 and 9 for the deploying to economy in Kawasaki, and the reuse of heat, 7 and 13 contribute to climate change, and Eco-Town, that is education for the citizens and for the senior high school students. Then number 4, contribute to number 4 of SDGs, also toward the future oceanic environment and protection. And then out of 17 goals, with the activities of Kawasaki, 8 goals of SDGs are covered. So SDGs say inclusiveness. That is Kawasaki is a model of inclusiveness of SDGs. So with the Zoom, YouTube, how much can be understood by YouTube, but at the last night meeting forum, people from overseas like Indonesia, China, Korea visited, and they wanted to realize that your model to our industry development. That was the discussion last time. So that was a review, and I have 5 minutes, and now I'd like to talk about the future development. On the next slide, please. And so city, urban, and industrial decarbonization basis for resource supply. So becoming a hub for the global network. Next slide. And the Kawasaki for the past 20 years, from the left to right, what happened in 20 years. From the left is with the fossil fuels, with depending on the import of materials, and have a lot of waste and deteriorate the environment, and process the sludge and so forth, waste. That is on the left, but as it becomes circulatory, using the waste and materials on the left, we can have less dependency on the overseas material. And as you can see further, as we go more circular, like a green economy basis, a carbon neutral combinat or complex is the word that we hear a lot. In this area, we're carbon neutral complex, can be realized to reduce scope 3, less burden products will be produced, and with the less transportation, and there are consumers within less shorter transportation distance. So we're focusing on this area, urban industrial basis, symbiosis as a base. By realizing this symbiosis, we'll be able to realize a carbon neutral. And that's what we'd like to hear from you today. On the next slide. So there are so many industrial areas, urban and plants are way apart. and Kawasaki had many experience and had many discussions to live together and live closely exist closely together. Then green economy and decarbonization is less dependent on fossil fuels or not dependent on long-distance transportation or large-scale production facilities, or the consumption area and production area is close. That is the strength of this area. And under municipalities discussion, this has been the topic. And that kind of topic and discussion is not just a theoretical topic. Actually, we'd like to take on, I hope to act and make it evidence in Kawasaki and like to make it as mainstream. That is the number one proposal. And number two is international deployment. On the next slide, please. Number two is within Kawasaki, there was a company collaboration has been done, and today's Eco Forum and exhibition is unique in that the administration is supporting, and Kawasaki and China City, and circulatory technology of Kawasaki is to be deployed to China. That is the scheme. At the bottom, there's a name of institutions, and the Shenyang and Kawasaki worked together, and company-to-company collaboration happened, and the municipalities of China, certified by Kawasaki, they accept with confidence. And in order to do the assistance business, we have the Japanese government have an agreement with Shenyang and Kawasaki. For not just carbon neutral for the Kawasaki City, in order to deploy to overseas alliance with the local areas in China and Kawasaki City is necessary. So that kind of actual steps need to be taken in order to create a green economy from Kawasaki. And now I'm running out of time. On the last page, last slide. And in a sense, 20th century, Kawasaki has produced steel production, oil production, or electric supplies. Kawasaki was a center of industrial society of the 20th century, but moving gradually to circulatory and infrastructure has been built and established, and this represents the history of the area, and with the experience and network, with everybody as a big asset, we deploy into. We will be able to become the leader of green innovation of the 21st century. So carbon neutral is not so easy as I study, but every day I feel it. It's not, you cannot do it only with the market economy, but by taking action, and companies' action will be taken and certified by the municipalities, and the government and institutions should submit as evidence, and small actions put together and gradually accumulate and deploy, disseminate into the society. Social system innovation, what is called in Europe, social innovations. Innovation will happen in Kawasaki. And this would conclude my presentation. Thank you very much.
Professor Fujita, thank you very much. Continuing on, we'll move to the panelist discussion. Professor Fujita will please move to the coordinator seat. To everyone who will be presenting today, please come to your seats. Here, we originally planned to have the UN Environmental Planning and Financial Initiative environmental advisor to Kawasaki City, Tsuyoshi, and today he'll be providing a video message for you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 20th Kawasaki Eco-Business Forum. Performing this Eco-Business Forum over 20 years has been something of great benefit to Kawasaki and the people related to Kawasaki. Over the last several years, there's been various benefits related to this forum, and we hope that the benefits that we can see in this forum will be evident to you. Kawasaki City is an example and has a history of doing these things, and various people have been participating in these efforts at Kawasaki City. The combination of Kawasaki's industry and businesses have been leading us towards making Kawasaki a model for the world. Today, based on Professor Fujita's talk, we'll be discussing what we can do to continue moving the world forward. As part of the panel discussion today, we'll be looking at the main points of how we can move forward in terms of this kind of eco-city development. Thank you for listening to my message. Thank you to everybody who's participating today. Moving forward, we'll ask Professor Fujita to take over.
Thank you very much. Continue on. We'd like to continue the panel, serve as a facilitator for panel discussion. Appreciate your support, panelists. First, I'd like to a few words before having presentation from each one of you. I'd like to introduce a presenter from the screen side. Ajinomoto, Mr. Tsuyoshi, General Manager, Sustainable Environment Group. And next, Hizaki Kogyo Company Limited CEO, Hizaki Kogyo, as Mayor talked about your name. And Director Customer Support, Kawasaki Shinkin Bank, Mr. Nakamura Koji. And Matsugami, Mr. Matsugami, the Bank of Yokohama. And lastly, representing Kawasaki City, Ida Atsushi, Mr. Ida Atsushi. And thank you very much. Now, as the mayor just talked about it, we'd like to, and the Tsuyoshi-san also talked about it, that is Kawasaki model. Carbon neutral society or net zero society. In order to, as a leader, each player has to, the actions has become the leading model for that. So in that sense, we have wonderful speakers today. First, we'd like to have a presentation from Atsushi Ida, Director, Decarbonization Strategy Promotion Office, Environment Protection, Kawasaki City, to support the businesses, activities to support businesses for decarbonization. Mr. Ida, please. Thank you for the introduction. Decarbonization Strategy Promotion Office, Bureau of Kawasaki City, talk about initiatives to promote decarbonization, in particular the support system and mechanism to do that. Next, first about the greenhouse gases emission status. 2020 was 20 million 260,000. That was 15% down from 2013, but still there are so many. And in that, what is unique about Kawasaki is, as Dr. Fujita mentioned in his keynote speech, industrial activities are very prevalent. And by category, throughout the city, 46% are taken up by industry, but in Kawasaki, 76% from industry emission within Kawasaki City. This is the unique feature of Kawasaki City. And in that, from 20 toward 2050, what kind of action should be taken? And as promotion planning was summarized and disclosed last year, and so the future vision is common to all around the world, actual net zero by 2050. And in between, there's a 2030 target that is throughout the city, 50% reduction is needed compared to 2013. In particular, industry need to reduce more than 50%. And we have the target by each sectors. And moving on, sorry, difficult to read, but actual actions is what's important for the municipalities. As a project, we have major projects. We have raised 5 projects. Number 1 is renewable energy, industry and private sector, and 4th is transportation, and the 5th is municipal office. I don't have time to explain all this, but after this, especially industrial area, coastal area, carbon neutral complex project has been moving around big, and how we can support that project. I'd like to explain some measures about it. And first, decarbonization promotion. Number 1 is make a planning sheet and report creation system. Will start from April next year for decarbonization, 2030 CO2 emission, and the evaluation point also in 2050 will be given or requested to made obligatory to submit the report about the emission reduction. There's a target, 2030 target, and 2050 to be carbon neutral. So about 2030s in Kawasaki, against Kawasaki's goal, how much is going to be contributed by your side with numeric? And 2050 carbon neutral, as was pointed out, it is not easy, but Scope 3 activities, how we can promote the Scope 3 activities is the base. And that is the evaluation items. That is the key. And not just the large decarb players, but mid-small companies. We would like them to use small and medium-sized companies. And the next is about the products. We have to reduce the carbon neutral through products, in products. Kawasaki CN brand, from material procurement to waste, dispose, and recycle. I would like to evaluate all these cycles, and this is one of the systems. And the third is a one-stop consultation window. As people move toward the innovation, what kind of players are available to talk with, and we have the one-stop contact. Number 4 is, this is the last slide, as Mayor talk about it, but it is difficult to decarbonize. And we need to support institutions and financial institutions, work together with them in order to materialize the efforts. And further step to realize the support and the materialize, like a planning and report system. And through that system, we'd like to decarbonize Kawasaki City. And these are the activities and support system that we have in mind. Thank you very much, Mr. Ida. Next, moving on to the presentation.
Now we're moving on to the talk from Mr. Tsuyoshi from the Ajinomoto Group. And Mr. Tsuyoshi, if you please. Thank you for the introduction. I'm Mr. Toyosaki from the Environmental Group at the Sustainability Department at Ajinomoto. Ajinomoto is the company that discovered what we call the umami flavor, and we live by the phrase eat well, live well. And Ajinomoto is working towards its ASV, Ajinomoto Group Creating Shared Value. Next, please. Among these things, one of the things we focus on is what we call amino science. Next, please. Among our global operations, we have 36 countries and regions that we operate in with 117 factories and approximately 35,000 employees. This year we are focusing on amino science and how this can contribute to the well-being of people and society. We are focusing on moving forward with this. Among those, we are looking at how the decarbonization of our products can work towards the 2030 outcomes. We are considering how the food system creates waste and how to make it sustainable. Among the related matters to this, there are various things including plastic waste and water risk that we are looking at how to increase the scope of our activities. This is related also to Scope 3. We are currently focusing on net zero. Among the outcomes that we're focusing on, communication with our stakeholders and how to continue to be transparent in our engagement and disclosure is something that we're focusing on greatly. As you can see in front of you, our environmental issues are related to the global frameworks and the history of those that you can see on the screen. There's a number of frameworks that we're working with, and plastics are a point of discussion for various of these treaties. There's a number of countries a number of areas in which we're looking at how to be more transparent in our sustainability efforts and what we can do, what is possible to do in achieving these aims. As an example of our CSRD, there's a number of different data points that we're drawing upon, 1,044 data points. As part of our work to keep focusing on these, we're looking at TCF and how these can be used more appropriately. Next, please. Looking at our sustainable finance, we are doing a number of things. The letters are a bit small, but if you look at the right, you can see the things that we're focusing on as target KPIs. There's some things that are not yet being achieved here, but we're looking at Scope 3 as one of our main areas. Next, please. Next, please. In a single year, we are looking at how our CO2 emissions are being affected and what we can do about them. 7% are being used for Scope 2, our electricity, and then Scope 3 is 83% for our supply chain as a whole. We're considering how this can be improved and what we can do about it moving forward. Next, please. When looking at Scope 1 and Scope 2, there's a decrease from Scope 1, Scope 2 to Scope 3. Next, please. Next, please. As an example of what we're doing, this is how we're using our credit scheme. Next, please. Next, please. Please continue all the way forward. Here, please. We're looking at how to achieve net zero with Kawasaki City in cooperation, and we're looking at how this can look as an industrial complex. There's a number of areas and things that we're considering for how to achieve a holistic approach. Next, please. There's a lot of focus on negative impact, but we want to talk about how to create positive impact. When considering a holistic approach, we are looking at how different inputs can lead towards positive impacts. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that important talk on how different things can affect our environment. Moving on, we have...
So Hizaki Kogyo Sanpei-san, as the top leader of decarbonization, will make a presentation representing small and medium. I feel humble, but first about our company in the coastal area of it's in Okawa City and 65 years since the establishment. What we build is for the metal processing, like a big, large, like signage in the Tokyo Station, an event, goods, and Christmas trees. And those items that you see as a sign in the city and towns and large events, items in the events and decorations are built by us. And nearby is a Nokti, Mizonokuchi, and Kawasaki Chinechita is built by us. And what we do for CO2, what was the motivation we started? In 2011, as you know, March 11th, we had a big earthquake. And because of that, so we had a big impact. As you know, those days, we had to suppress our activities. And we had a big impact through that. And in reality, the electricity coming from the outlets, is it really a necessity? We have question mark. It is very convenient, but otherwise, instead we emit CO2 and big impact after outlet. And we thought about it, what comes next. So why we think about this so deeply is because my parents is father from Tomioka and mother from Nanamie, and the big cities of earthquake lived there. So hometown Hamadori Street, it was impacted very much, and even today they are suffering. So CO2 emission, the study on the CO2 emission started from this denuclearization. And first about energy conservation, save energy, and also reutilization, renewable energy. And next about the facilities that we replace all the mercury lamps into LED and with the less energy and replaced with less energy consumption machinery. And in order to produce the energy, reduce energy, but we store the energy so that private consumption type solar panels and EV and also storage batteries. And after all, what happened is in the past 10 years, because of also the change of business, the purchase of amount was cut by 50%, electricity purchase. And CO2 emission cut is because of the decrease in the purchases of electricity. 52% was cut, 172 tons to 82 tons. That is 52% reduction in CO2. And cost merit, so installation, we spent 200 million yen for a facility, but we had 50 million yen, so actually 150 million yen spent. And the effect was 42 million. And compared to what we did nothing, that is an effect of 5.2 million yen reduction. What is happening as of today? CO2, 16.23 tons, 62 tons is emitting CO2, but for 13.6%, we use private consumption generator. In the roadmap by 2030, we have the target by 2030, and we share this roadmap with all employees. And various activities through carbon neutral promotion being done by us. And also this year, for the Ministry of Environment, we had a meeting with the minister. And as a new business, was not just flashy sign business, but we are shifting toward environment-related business for outdoor products, decarbonization business, independent trailer house, SDGs approaches, and so forth. And as a result, it is difficult to do with only a basis or plant. We're building a new plant in Kimitsu City, in 150 Tsubo plant are being built in Chiba. A workshop to not just internally, but to teach kids about the carbon neutral education as a visiting lecture to elementary schools and high schools. And after all, what our goal is in Scope 1 and 2 by 2030, carbon neutral, and with a new business and solving social issues, shifting to solving social issues. That is all I have. Thank you very much for listening. Okay, thank you very much. 52% reduction. That is a wonderful goal as an SME, and that was a great example. And later, round, I would like to have further information from you. Thank you very much.
Next we have, our next panelist is Mr. Nakamura from Kawasaki Shinkin Bank. Once again, I'm Mr. Nakamura Koji from Kawasaki Shinkin Bank. At present, Kawasaki Shinkin Bank is working with local communities and looking at how we can support things. When we're looking at how sustainable development goals can penetrate through small and medium enterprises, we have several steps that we're looking at. And first step is how to develop interest and concerns in local people. When talking about spreading awareness, we have to consider how to get local people interested in decarbonization. So what we've done is we have developed these green signs talking about carbon zero and what the effects of climate change are, and we've also started putting up various kinds of advertising. Continue to the next page, please. This is step 2. How do we affirm and disseminate this kind of information among people in the region? When we talk about these things, we have to consider how we use our businesses and how we use our discussions to do these things. Next slide, please. This is the Kawasaki SDG platform, and what we're doing is First, we're looking at how to bring in various companies and work together both individually and as a group. And at the present, we're looking at more than 3,000 partners. Next slide, please. For step 3, since 2 years prior, we've been looking at how what kind of conversation people are having about SDGs and what that looks like, and how we can crystallize that in. When we're looking at decarbonization, we've got to consider how money factors into this, and one of the things that we're doing is the carbon zero assistance deposit, and these are being produced at ATMs. Customers can make these deposits at their ATM without using any vouchers. It's paperless, and the bank will take the money and put it into a what we call a green fund, and customers are able to make these donations of various amounts. Next slide. One thing that we're focusing on is loans, and next slide, please. Housing is something that factors into decarbonization, and we're looking at how we can incorporate loans into this. The next thing that we're looking at is how self-employed persons and small businesses can use loans to help us support these kinds of things. As a development of the steps, we are focusing on how these can work towards making CO2 emissions visible for people, so that businesses who support these efforts can be made more frontline in people's minds and promoted more. Next, we look at how new issues are developed and how we identify them. Moving forward, there's a number of things that we have to consider when using the funds that we generate from this. Move to slide 17, please. As a combination of our efforts to achieve the SDGs and spread the awareness of these between rich and poor, we're looking at how this starts with the supply chain and connecting this to companies that are working in this area. We are considering how society and companies have to work together and what this means in terms of SDGs and how the needs of society and businesses can be blended together. First, we are looking at the cost for consumers and working to make that more bearable. And as a conclusion, we are hoping to move towards this. Thank you very much. Thank you for your very interesting talk. It's something that's very important to all of us. Thank you very much. Our next presentation is from Yokohama Ginko's Matsugami-sama.
So I'm Senior Deputy General Manager, Business Strategy Department, Matsugami. Business Strategy Department I'm working with mainly for companies, in particular sustainability areas, as we have the big focus as a total bank as a whole. So sustainability, so in local decarbonization efforts for all the. In order to realize Kawasaki City as a whole, we'd like to push up the level. With 31 municipalities' participation, we share the information together. And the number one goal is for like a Kawasaki City decarbonization leader. They have a lot of resources and people, So they're ahead, but with the small cities and towns, we don't know where to start. So this is not to compete, but work together to develop with each other. So that is a place for sharing, information sharing. Also, think tank and person in the know will share the information and assist us. And next, and this is by customer of bank support and introduction for the customer. And on the left, businesses like to make sales and make profit, and they are professional in that. But decarbonization is not easy to take it as a management issue. So there aren't so many activities. But on the left, decarbonization, this is a tool that we developed. So by using this tool for decarbonization, pick up the issues of the customers, and based on that, we follow the customer's activities, and what comes will be visualized and make steps to make a decision. As is on the right, the progress is very fast. So one person or one entity cannot work alone. So we need to collaborate and have alliance to push up the value of companies. And also value of the companies in Kawasaki City, after all. And this is a very complicated chart. So multi-companies collaboration example. From the left, there are 4 ones. Left is sustainability, collaboration between financial institutions. On the number 2 is auto companies collaboration. And number 3 is consultation. Bank invested to the consultation company and to build the strategies and getting the expertise. And so I'd like to explain the 3 efforts. And this is the Yokohama Bank is, we have a major, this is the name of the system, Hokuriku, and has the same system. So not just system, but sustainability alliance is to be done. And so one of the goals is to push up the level of the activity. As is on the right, it says product. One is carbon offset type private placement bonds. So this is we are the first. We came up with this. And in order to procure the capital, this is used, and environment value is to be purchased by us and contribute back to the city and the municipalities. And like a seminar, and we have seminar for decarbonization and to understand the local conditions. And the next is about automotive industry that we started recently. And not other than local banks, but the suppliers. Bank has suppliers, local suppliers, and so those banks got together to build a case. And for EV, in order to build more EV, and there are some concerns about the continuation of the business, and the local banks talk about M&A and business continuation efforts. And last page is about involving Kawasaki City, Kanagawa Prefecture, auto parts supplier liaison conciliatory, and OEM Tier 1, Tier 2, and industry promotion center is involved. In particular, transition from what's being built may not be able to build tomorrow, and because of the EV production. So this can be produced for EV and so forth. And I would like to, as a Kanagawa Prefecture, as one team, we'd like to work together, and we're doing activity for the company and customers. Thank you very much. There was a very wide range of activities and perspectives, unique perspectives, and cutting-edge activities were introduced. So the remaining 30 minutes or less, I would like to have panel discussion. So in order to move efficiently, I'd like to give you each one of you some topic. The people from Toyosaki, Mr. Toyosaki and Roundway would like to have comments one by one. First, the first round.
We're looking at the progress of these things, and for Kawasaki City, what is something that's good and a good quality of Kawasaki City? The supply chain that's being done in Kawasaki City, first from just like you said, Professor, to reduce CO2, we're focusing on Scope 3, and this is a question of volume, and it's something that we're all thinking about. If we don't cooperate with people, then we won't be able to make any progress. So I think Kawasaki City is proving itself to be a model for development in this area. As a simple thing, I don't know that it's something that can be always a regional thing, but the supply chain is certainly part of our region. If we look at the surrounding area and focus on expanding this area that Kawasaki City is using, we can make the supply chain a bit more compact, and that will that's sort of how I'm thinking about it. Next, from Mr. Sampei, I'd like to hear what he has to say. I'm focusing on small and medium enterprises, but the businesses in this area are facing some difficulties. The Kawasaki model is something that everybody knows about, but businesses are working out how to take this model on, and even though it's been around for several years prior, the appeal of it is something that we focus on a great deal, and we need to consider out how to make this actionable for smaller companies and smaller areas. Within Kawasaki, we have an environment and a supply chain for this kind of thing, but recently there's been a number of events that have been promoting how Kawasaki City is doing things, and there's still some challenges in terms of how to progress with the RNGs. Thank you very much. That's important to... Next, please. Under the influence of the coronavirus period, there's been a number of changes that the impact on businesses in the area have shown that recently the conversations about this have been focusing on what to do and how to do it. There's a lot of discussions on this topic, but it's very difficult to consider how to look at renewable resources and recycling resources. But after all, it's one of those things that businesses are looking to continue progressing with, and if we give a little bit more time, I think that we'll get there. From the perspective of making some small progress, I think that we're doing a good job. Thank you very much. Thank you. On that, I'd like to hear from Mr. Matsugami. The image of Kawasaki City is something that has very self-evident examples of how to put these initiatives together. And when we advertise these things, there's a certain level that we achieve. But in regards to that, the people in companies and such have to consider what the impact of these things are. And because of that, I think the region that we're seeing progress is something that we need to work at how to share with other regions. And our will to do this is very high, but I think my perspective on this is a little bit different to my colleague. Thank you for that. Yes, there's a little bit of a difference in the points that we're working towards to keep making progress forward. I think there's some good points there, but we need to consider how to include your points as well. Thank you very much. Thank you for everybody's comments. I think the Kawasaki field has a good point in how the coordination and the initiatives in Kawasaki City are working as a network, but the activities by businesses are becoming something that I want to focus on. There's parks and there's industrial parks and industry symbiosis going on, but I think we need to see some more social innovation as a way of moving forward. I would like to see some changes there.
So at the beginning, Ajinomoto said that talk about the supply chain, scope 3, look compact. That is unique about Kawasaki City, and also even SME can act more easily with the support of administrative office. And this alone, as I hear from many parties, this is very rare, I think, in a sense that promotion by society and economic power together will create the new model of carbon neutral. I think that is unique to Kawasaki. And next one round I can make, I think, next round about the carbon neutral is to shift current business model to obtain new values, and also at the same time when there's a difficulty in the existing models, so we have to make a shift from the current model to the new model. So the issues, challenges you have in the mid-term, long-term, what will be the forecast or for development in the future, talking about carbon neutral, focusing on carbon neutral, what you are doing today, how is it going to be developed and deployed, and the challenges and issues that we'd like to hear from you. The same order, okay? Thank you very much. Yes, the future picture, carbon neutral, is it really possible to realize carbon neutral? There's a lot of hurdles ahead of us, and unlike Europe and the US, the alliance collaboration between regions and communities, and collaboration between supply chains, we have to be very close with each other, otherwise we cannot be successful. So alliance, in terms of alliance, by doing collaboration, what would be the opportunity? We're not sure at this moment. There may be some new potential by making more alliance, and we'll look into it further. Thank you very much. And supply chain and globalization, with these topics and the international situations being considered, tend to be more our carbon neutral, in the world of carbon neutral, we cannot move worldwide. So locally produced, local consumption is the trend. But things should be local, but think globally and move locally, I think. Thank you very much. And this panel discussion overall, I think your comment represented this forum overall, panel discussion overall. So talking about the future of carbon neutral, in my company for the past 10 years, as a company trying to reduce its CO2 10 years back, as of today, 5 or 6 years, targeting as 2030, CO2 to be zero. That is our target. But for the past 7 or 8 years, actually we reduced 50%. And the rest of 50% is more difficult. I was relatively optimistic, but we have achieved in 7 years, then we'll be able to make it 100%. But in 2020, but the hurdle was there still. As you know, the electricity and the CO2 is emitted, and renewable activity is not happening yet. So when we look at the future, well, can we really make it by 2030? Frankly, infrastructure is not available, so still way to go. And we have to reduce the energy to spend. We streamlined as much as possible, but a little subtle adjustment is underway, like techniques, like how we operate the machine need to be changed, and understand how the customers are operating more in detail. So there are many rooms to reduce, and accumulate. The storage batteries are expensive today, but complex structure, but storage with a lot of new information. Would like to build a new technology and structure for the batteries.
In terms of what we can do as businesses, there's more and more things that we are considering to strategize, and I thank you for your thoughts on that. Moving forward, I'd like to hear from Mr. Nakama. In terms of the environment in Kawasaki City, we're looking at how these strategies are moving forward, but in terms of prices, but if there's in that environment and that average, there's something that we're all considering in terms of reducing energy usage, and those activities are something that we're sharing with one another, introducing to one another. But when we consider where exactly that came from, we have to consider what kind of efforts we're making. When we talk about Kawasaki, there's a lot of things that we're announcing, but based on that, more than just advertising this to everybody, I think we're focusing not enough on what people in the region are actually doing. When we are looking at the various companies and their efforts, I think there's certain things we still have to work towards. Thank you very much. The steps that we're moving towards are something worth considering a great deal. So I'd like to hear from Matsukami again. Depending on carbon neutral, I think there's a number of things that we really have to be able to do. When we when we consider the strategies that we're working towards for this, there's a number of things that we're advertising to everybody and sharing with everybody, but there's also rules and, as I said before, there's TNFD, and that's very, very important, and I think we can continue to increase that level a little bit higher. Also, there's a original difference between SDGs and ESGs, and there's other people who are saying SVT. So I think there's a bit of a mistake there. When we consider them the same and make rules based on that, there's one part that really draws a bit of concern for me. The sustainability data is, there's a number of meetings about this, and if I explain it very simply, there's something, we're all focusing on that data, and I don't think that we can avoid that. Thank you for your thoughts on that. Throughout Japan, banks are connected to one another and they're cooperating, and that's also included in these considerations. If we keep focusing on that cooperation, when we talk about the initiatives to decarbonize, there's talking about the realization of carbon neutral is something that we don't pay much attention to, but then when we consider the business chances that are involved in...
So not just the big players, but also SMEs, the fruit should be tasted, and we need to prepare from now on to enjoy the benefit by SME. The support program is being built, and financial institutions and industry promotion institutions working together as a whole city. We'd like to make a funding, and we're making a challenge to have a new system. To have a decarbonization management, not just in business, but from administrative perspectives, how we can involve the citizens, people who live there. In deploying business in that area, the new value will have to be shared or accepted and see the value by the citizens given by the company, and kind of change your behavior or not. So in that sense, the businesses, to working with businesses, how we can appeal to the citizens, people who live there, that is the key. And in that sense, we like to come up with many projects and created by companies and send out the information together with the administrative office. And that would be the big role that we need to play. Thank you very much. Kawasaki City is already doing in the car model, making many actions and also doing the sharing the information and doing outreach. So the time is running out. So we'd like to have 5 more minutes. So I'd like to have each one comment that you didn't mention or like to mention, a request to Kawasaki City or to the government, whatever. You be on the YouTube, but you can say each 1 minute each. Could you? Thank you. With the Kawasaki City, not just CO2, but also plastics to circulate as a waste or resource. I'd like to work together through GLOBA project. Would like to make an approach to Kawasaki City. And holistically, I'd like to work together many different things with Kawasaki City. Appreciate your support. And as I pointed out on the slide, since SMEs and towns are working very hard on decarbonization, carbonized product are requested to make, like a biogas emission product and energy-related equipment. But we are shifting toward more environmental friendly product business. And Kawasaki's unique new business would like to start from Kawasaki City. That is a very encouraging comment. And Nakamura-san, please. And yes, as a local financial business and administration work together, by collaborating going forward, the system that SME should be able to deal with easily, that is the key. So if that kind of system foundation is available for SMEs, then we can approach as a bank to local companies and small companies, and so that we can collaborate. Thank you, Matsugami-san. Yes, as similar to what financial institution says, work together in same perspectives and same eye level, like a carbon pricing with a certain standard and law. Based on that, everyone will start moving quickly in the same direction without reducing the activity level of the company. So we'd like to, as we are doing today, we'd like to communicate further with all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, Ida-san, thank you. Decarbonization activities from the management viewpoint, but after all, how we can implement in the society, that is what counts most. So in terms of implementation in the society for the businesses, through that business, I'd like you to make a business, so to be sustainable as business, money, make a profit while decarbonizing. That is the key I'd like to focus on and support. And for citizens, for new products and services, discuss the value of the new product and services in a carbon neutral society. We have to be circulated and to be able to implement in the society. So as an administrative office, we'd like to make a system to support that kind of activity. And I would work with many different players, how we can build a system and what system is needed. So please continue, let us continue to have your cooperation.
Thank you very much. It's been a very broad set of discussions, and carbon neutral is something that we're realizing from Kawasaki City. And once again, I can feel your confidence in our efforts towards this. We're running out of time, so if Professor Fujita could wrap up everything for us, that would be as much as you can. There's three points that I really want to lay out. If we could get, I'd like to get 3 things from you. First, the supply chain that we've focused on a lot today. It's a chain or a network, and that's the other side of that is something that you've focused on quite a lot, and the way we recycle and reuse our resources there are possibilities that we can work with on that side of things, and making the supply chain more compact is something that I'd like us to achieve. To depending on how much we're able to make that a reality, there are some. It's almost like a series of dominoes, and the system will grow and change around that. And as much as we can make this happen, the making the supply chain more compact in terms of recycling and renewable resources is something that I think will move us more towards carbon neutrality. Point two, the economic side of carbon neutrality. There's a number of things that have been coming forward since 2015, and the progress since then is very visible, but in terms of steps forward, there's a way being shown for how finance can play a role in achieving carbon neutrality. And when we talk about the Kawasaki model for CN, carbon neutrality, I think that's quite a good thing. And the way society is working with finances and banks to create carbon neutrality is something that I think we're increasing. We're phasing this up, and the possibility of achieving this is something that I felt regularly to date. Lastly, today, even here, there are carbon neutral decarbonization booths at this event, and the awareness of students is something that we could see. Carbon neutrality isn't something that you do on your own, it's something that you do with your peers and other people in the city. And when sharing information, the outreach is, in order to better share the information and better achieve outreach, I think there's something further that we can do in that area. There's the phrase "no one left behind," and we can apply that to carbon neutrality, and we can spread this throughout the people in Kawasaki that are working towards carbon neutrality while performing outreach in this way. Our ability to focus is something that I'd like to once again consider in the closing statements. In 20 years, we have, I think we've achieved a great deal, and from next year, I would also like to see more of this happening, and I would be very happy to see some of you for the second time at that event. As a heartfelt request, I would like to thank everybody. Finally, thank you to our panelists for the discussion that we had today, and if everybody could please give a round of applause. Thank you very much. Now, if we could have the closing statements. Thank you, Professor Fujita. Finally, we'll have closing statements from Mr. Mita from the Kawasaki City Environmental Bureau. I'm Bureau Chief of the Kawasaki City Environmental Bureau, Mita. Thank you, everybody, for participating in today's International Environmental Business Forum. Thank you to Professor Fujita for being our coordinator today, and thank you to everyone for coming to be our panelists today. We've had a number of very important and very influential discussions today. Thank you to everyone for your patience today, and I think we will be able to move forward with a number of different efforts in businesses. Thank you for sharing your energy with us today and helping us to make today happen. We are moving towards more and more towards decarbonization, and that makes me very happy. And on behalf of everybody in Kawasaki, we're grateful that we can be a model for the world. Thank you to everybody for your efforts today. Thank you for providing some good examples of how we can concretely move forward with decarbonization. And once again, thank you to everyone who came today, and thank you to everybody who came to the venue today. And thank you for sitting through my closing statements. Once again, thank you, everybody. Finally, I have a request for everybody that's at the forum. We are sending a survey to your email addresses that you used to register for the forum. We would be grateful if you could complete that. In closing, we now call to a close the 20th Kawasaki Eco-Business Forum. To everybody who came, thank you very much for attending.